Today we have to listen Samudaya Sacca, the truth of the origin of suffering. Buddha said, Idang Kopana Bhikkhave Dukkha Samudaya Ariya Sacca. Yayam Tanna Pono Bhavika Nandiraga Sagata Tatra Tatra Binandini Sayadidam Kamadana Bhavatana Vibhavatana. That means, bhikkhus, what I will teach is the noble truth of the origin of suffering, or the truth which noble ones should know. There is this hunger, this craving, which gives rise to fresh rebirth and is bound up with pleasure and attachment, or it is the nature of pleasure and attachment, seeks delight, finds gratification now here, now there, everywhere. What is this tanha craving? Craving is the three kinds: kama tanha, sensual craving, desire for enjoyment of sensual pleasure, bhavatana, craving for eternal existence, holding the eternity belief, vibhavatana, craving for non-existence, believing that there is nothing after death. So these three kinds of craving are the truth of the origin of suffering. Tanha is the cause for suffering. Unless tanha is completely rooted out, continuous fresh existences, new becomings are inevitable. Yayan tanha pono bhavika. How this tanha craving brings on repeated rebirths will be illustrated by a few stories. There are thousands of stories illustrating this fact. And today we go to the story from the Pali commentaries, the Mahabharata commentaries, the Nawega Sukrapotika story. Story like this: at one time, the Blessed One went into Raja Gra for alms round. Buddha saw a young female pig and he smiled. Venerable Ananda noticed the white radiation which shone forth from the teeth of the Buddha. And Ananda knew that Buddha was smiling. And accordingly, Venerable Ananda asked the Lord Buddha, what has caused to smile, Bhante? Then Buddha pointed out the young female pig to Venerable Ananda and said, Ananda, see that young female pig. She was a young woman in human existence during the dispensation of Kakusanda Buddha. When she died, she was reborn a hen in the neighborhood of a monastic feeding hall. The small hen fell victim to an eagle, but earlier she happened to have heard the recitation by a monk of a meditation subject, which aroused in her wholesome mental states. By virtue of this marriage, the small hen was reborn as a princess named Oberi in a royal family. The princess Oberi later left the household life and became a wandering mendicant, Paribhajika, residing in the mendicant's residence. She happened one day to gaze at the maggots in the latrine. The worm served as an object for meditation. Puluwakasinya, contemplating of ugliness of womb, infested corpse, or Puluwakasinya, or Odada Sinya, contemplating on a white object, by which she attained the first jhana. When she passed away, she was reborn a Brahma in the first jhanic Brahma realm. On expiry from the Brahma world, she became the daughter of a rich man in the human world. Then she left human world again, only to be born a pig, female pig. Now, Ananda, Buddha said, I saw all these events which made me smile. Buddha said to Venerable Ananda, on hearing this story of repeated births in various existences, Venerable Ananda and other monks became greatly alarmed and agitated with samvega, sense of urgency. Buddha stopped going on arms round and while still standing on the roadway, started teaching the Dharma in 6 verses. The first verse is like this. Yatapi mule anupadawe danle Chainobi roko punarewa ruhati Ewambi tana nusaye anuhate Nibadati dokhamidam puna punam. That means, if the main roots of a tree remain undamaged and in good condition, even the upper branches are cut off, that tree will grow again, developing new buds and shoots. In the same way, if there remains mental defilements, lying dormant, anusya kilesa, anusya tanna, which are not yet eradicated by Ariya Mega, this suffering of rebirth etc., we arise time and again successively. What is conveyed by this verse is this: during her existence as Princess Obari, she renounced the world to become a wanderer, parivajika. By practicing meditation, she attained the first jhana, which could dispel or which could put away by vikambana pahana, elimination by discarding only the mental defilements of pariyotthana kilesa, craving for sensual pleasures, which appears as sensual thoughts at the mind's door. By means of vikambana pahana, jhana can put away the mental defilements only to a certain distance for a certain period of time. In this way, she was able to dispel the craving for sensual pleasures. When she attained the first jhana and later in the Brahma world. But when she was born again in the human world as the daughter of a wealthy man, the craving for sensual pleasures reappeared because it has not been rooted out by the Ariya Mega Jnana. The Bhavadana, craving for existence, of course, persisted. Persisted even when she had attained the jhana. Because the latent mental defilements, anusya kilesa or anusya tanna, had not been completely uprooted, she had to descend from Brahma world through a human world into a pig's existence. So long as the craving persists, repeated rebirths will take place in this way in various existences. In reference to the story of descent from Brahma world to pig's existence, ancient teachers had left an aphorism. In Brahma land, she shines bright. In pig's pen, too, she finds delight. But it is not possible to be reborn as a pig straight from the Brahma world. It is not possible to be reborn as a dog straight from the Brahma world. It is not possible to be reborn in the realms of betas, hungry ghosts, or starving ghosts. Straight from the Brahma world. It is not possible to be reborn in the states of misery, straight from the Brahma world. By virtue of the Upachara Bhavana, SS concentration, the SS meditation proximate to the jhana previously attained, rebirth can take place only as a human beings, or rebirth can take place only in the celestial abode. The young female pig in this story also passed through human life, where she was born as the daughter of a wealthy man. It is quite possible that she landed in a pig's existence after being the daughter of a wealthy man because of the bad karma she had committed then in being haughty and arrogant to those she should have shown respect. And number 7 existence is when the young female pig died, she was reborn in a royal family of Suvarnabhumi, which is generally taken to be the country of the toe, Myanmar. Some scholars, however, take Suvarnabhumi to be the Sumatra island, relying on the bronze inscription made by the King Devapala about 1500 Buddhist era. And this life gone, another life. Number 8, from being the princess of Suvarnabhumi, she passed over to Varanasi, India as a woman. That is number 8. And number 9, then she became a woman in Varanasi, in southeast of Bombay, India. Another life, number 10. From there, she was reborn the daughter of a horse merchant in the seaport town of Soparaka, northwest of Bombay, India. And number 11. So in 11th life, she became the daughter of ship owner at the port of Kawira in the southeastmost part of the Indian peninsula. There is coastal district inhabited by Tamil people, formerly called Tamila. That is number 11. Number 12. After that life, she was born in the family of government official at Anuradha, or present-day Sri Lanka. That is number 12. And number 13. Her next life was the daughter of a rich man named Sumana from Bokanda, a village south of Anuradha. She took the name as her father, Sumana. Later, her father left that village and settled down in the Mahamuni village of the Tigawapi districts. One day, a minister of the king Dotagamini named Lakondaga Atembara happened to visit the Mahamuni village on a certain business. Upon seeing the young lady Sumana, the minister fell madly in love with her. He married her with great pomp and ceremony and carried her off to his village Mahapona. At that time, the Venerable Anuruddha was residing at the monastery of Thuzana. He happened to visit her village for alms round. While waiting for offer the alms food at the gate of Sumana's house, he saw Sumana and said to his monk followers, "Bhikkhus, how wonderful, what a marvel! The young female pig of the Blessed One's time is now the wife of the minister of Lakondaka Atimbara." Mahathira said. On hearing this exclamation, Sumana, the wife of the minister, developed Jatisaranyana, knowledge of previous existences. With the help of these faculties, Sumana recalled to her mind the previous existences she had passed through. In consequence, she became agitated with fear, with samvega, sense of urgency, at the prospects of repeated birth of the cycle of existences. Asking permission from her minister husband, she went to a Bhikkhuni monastery and got herself ordained. After ordination, she listened to the discourse on Satipatthana Sutta at Desa Mahavihara monastery. She practiced mindfulness meditation in accordance with the sutta. Then she became a Sotapanna, well established as a string winner in the first stage of the path and fruition. Then, when King Dotagamani came to the throne, she went back to her native village, Bokanda, where at the Kanla Mahavihara monastery, she had the discourse on Asi Visopama Sutta, discourse on simile of virulent serpent, which enabled her to attain the fourth stage of the fruition. She became an Arahant, completely free from asava, influxes, passions. So we should go over these 13 existences of Sumana thoughtfully and mindfully. Then we could get aroused with samvega, with sense of urgency. When, as the young woman at the time of Kakusanda Buddha died, she left behind her family, possession, and her own physical body. The bereft family and friends would have grieved over her death. Then she became a hen. What a frightful thought, a human being to be reborn a hen. That hen would have family and friends also. She met with a terrible death from decapitation when an eagle seized her and struck her fiercely with its beak. However, there is consolation that she was reborn a princess, for the merits accrue from having heard a discourse of meditation. Of course, the hen would not know anything of the Dharma, but as she had given devout attention to the discourse, certain merits would have accrued to her, for which she was reborn a princess. So listening to a Dhamma discourse is very beneficial and fruitful. Dhamma is so reliable. It is a matter of gratification that she became a Brahma after being a princess by virtue of her jhanic attainment. It is gratifying too that from the Brahma world she was reborn in the human world into a wealthy family. But it is very distressing to know that she left behind her family, friends, and possession, reluctantly to be reborn as a pig, as a female pig. It is really frightful to think of descending to human plane from Brahma world and to sink farther still into animal kingdom as a pig. They should be enough to excite alarm and religious emotion, samvega, because so long as the noble Ariya Mega has not been established, anyone is liable to find himself landed in lowly states of existence. It was with the intentions of arousing sense of urgency and exalting the bhikkhus to take the Dharma in all earnestness that Buddha had told them the account of the female's hands succession of existences. How the young female pig met her death was not mentioned in the text, but it could be presumed that she was slaughtered by her breeders, as in modern times. The young female pig must have had a family and friends which she left behind, causing grief to them. So it was comforting that she was reborn afterwards as a human being in 6 places from Suvarnabhumi to Anuradha. But in each of these existences, every time she departed from one life, there must have been considerable suffering from sorrow, lamentation, and grief for her and for her dear ones. That she finally became Bhikkhuni, Sumanateri, is the most heartening part of this story. The cause of the cessation of her existences departing from one life to be reborn in another's, is Dhanna or Samudaya Sacca, the origin of suffering, the truth of the origin of suffering. Other people who are not yet rid of Dhanna will likewise go through the cycle of rebirth, dying from one life to be reborn in another. So it is extremely important to get established in the practice of the Noble Aryan Path in order to eradicate Tanna craving, otherwise called Samudaya Sacca, the truth of the origin of suffering. Sumanateri first had the discourse on Satipatthana Sutta. Then she practiced mindfulness meditation in accordance with the Satipatthana method, which helped her attain the status of Sotapanna stream winner. Then hearing the Asi Visopama Sutta, the simile of virulent serpent, she devoted herself more ardently to the practice and attained Arhata fruition to become a female Arahant. Dhanna, otherwise Samudaya Sacca, was completely eradicated from her. So there would be no more rebirth for her, and she would be enjoying peace, real peace, after her parinibbana. So Sumanateri declared to her college that she would fully pass away parinibbana after the Ayusankara, the vital principle for her present existence, had become exhausted. Thereupon, her college bhikkhus and bhikkhunis requested of her story of her existences. And Sumanateri recounted in this way. O my righteous bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, I was a human woman at the time of Kakusanda Buddha. When I died from there, I became a hen. I was killed by an eagle which broke off my head and devoured meat. Then I became a princess in the human world. Sumanateri continued to recount her past existences till the time of her final existence at Baukanda village. Sumanateri concluded, O my righteous bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, I have passed through 13 existences, encountering Lokadharma, the ups and downs, vicissitude of life in each existence, Samavisama, ups and downs, vicissitude of life. In this last existence, I was wearied of the cycle of rebirths. I have become an ordained bhikkhuni and finally attained arahantship. My righteous bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, I urge all of you to put forth your endeavor mindfully to become fully accomplished in Sila, Samadhi, and Pinya. Apamadena Sampadeta. Then she passed away, causing religious agitation in the minds of her audience, consisting of men, women, bhikkhus, and bhikkhunis. So this story of young female pig is fully described in the commentary to the Dhammavada, Tanawega, Sukrapotika story. This story very interesting. Another story, the story of Samana Deva. Even if practitioners were engaged in meditation practice to dispel Dana, Samudaya Sacca, until he or she became fully developed in the knowledge of the path, Dana could stay give rise to rebirth. Yayantana Ponobhavika. This fact is borne out by the story of Deva named Samana. During the lifetime of the Buddha, a certain young man, having established faith in the dispensation of the Buddha, got himself ordained and stayed with his preceptor Ubhijaya for 5 Vasa periods. He performed all the major and minor incumbent duties for his Ubhijaya preceptor and learned thoroughly the 2 codes, Dwe Madhika of Patimokkha, discipline for the bhikkhus. He also mastered the procedure of purifying himself from serious as well as trifling offenses. Then, taking a meditation object of his choice, he departed to a solitary abode in the forest and devoted himself incessantly to the practice of meditation. His efforts as meditation were very strenuous. Even at midnight, which Buddha had allowed as a time for rest and sleep, he continued with the practice. So striving day and night and getting enervated by lack of sufficient nourishing food, he was suddenly seized with a cutting pain, a paralytic stroke, which ruptured the spinal nerve, causing him instant death. He was meditating while walking and thus said to have passed away in the course of performing the duties of a bhikkhu. According to the commentary, if any bhikkhu pass away which engaged in walking up and down the cloister walk or standing leaning against the leaning post or sitting or lying down at the head of the cloister walk with the double robe on his head, He is said to die in harness. A bhikkhu is also said to die in harness if he pass away in the course of preaching a sermon, particularly on liberation from the chain of existences. As the bhikkhu of our story was engaged in meditating while walking up and down the cloister walk, we could take it that he passed away while he was contemplating the Namarupa, mind and matter of the body postures, in accordance with the teaching of the Satipatthana Sutta. Although he had put in a great deal of effort in the practice of meditation, he passed away without attaining the Arhata Mega, because he is not yet fully endowed with the supporting acts of perfection parami necessary for such attainment. Complete eradication sadhana is not possible unless Arhata Mega Jnana has been attained. That this bhikkhu has not yet developed even up to the stage of Sotapanna, string winner. So because of tanha, which can cause rebirth, Pono Bhavika, that monk was reborn in the celestial abode of Tawatinsa. A magnificent celestial palace awaited him in consequence of the merits he had acquired in the practice of meditation. By spontaneous rebirth, he appeared as if just awakened from sleep. At the entrance of the palace, as celestial beings resplendent in full celestial attire. At that moment, about 1,000 celestial princes who had been waiting the arrival of the master of the palace said, "Now our Lord has arrived, let us entertain him." They gathered around him, holding musical instruments in their hands to welcome him joyously. However, the Deva Lord of the palace did not even realize that he had taken a new existence in the new world. He was under the impression that he was still a bhikkhu of a human world. On the side of the celestial damsel, he took them to be female visitors to his monastery. So he covered up his bare left shoulder with the upper garment and remained seated, his eyes lowered, assuming a very dignified and reserved pose. Now the celestial ladies realized at once that the new being must have been a bhikkhu in his previous existence. So celestial ladies address him, "My Lord, there is the abode of the celestial beings. It is not the time to be observing the code of bhikkhu discipline. It is the occasion for enjoyment of celestial pleasures. But he continued maintaining solemn reserve and dignity. The Devas has not realized that he has become a celestial being in the realms of the Devas. Let us drive home these facts to him by our welcoming reveries. The celestial lady said. So the celestial ladies started playing the musical instrument accompanied by songs. The Deva all the more tightened his retiring disposition, maintaining his dignified solemnity, thinking that the female visitor had come to his forest abode for entertainment. Thereupon the celestial ladies brought out a body-length mirror and placed it in front of the Devas. Now the Devas, Samana Deva, saw his reflection in the mirror, and then he realized that he had left the bhikkhu's existence and taken rebirth in the celestial realms. So the Samana Deva was greatly perturbed. He reflected, I did not take up meditation to be reborn in these celestial realms. My object was to attain the most profitable goal of Arhata fruition. But now I'm like a boxer who entered the boxing competition aiming at the championship gold medal, but was awarded only a bundle of turnips. So he extremely agitated in mind. Then he thought, the celestial pleasures are easily attainable. The lifetime of the Buddha is a real occasion to hear the teaching of the Buddha and to attain the Ariya Mega is utmost important. By wallowing in the celestial pleasures, there is a danger of losing the opportunity of meeting the Lord Buddha. So, without taking the trouble of entering the palatial building, the Samana Deva went quickly to the presence of the Buddha. While restraining Sila, he had observed as a bhikkhu, still remained intact. His celestial damsels also accompanied him as they were anxious not to lose sight of him. On reaching the presence of the Buddha, he addressed him. Most venerable Blessed One, in what manner will it be possible to avoid and proceed along past the Nandavana garden, otherwise known as Mohana garden, the grove of stupidity? Because it serves to encourage foolish behavior in the celestial beings who visit it, where thousands of female celestial beings indulge in singing and yodeling, where numerous demons, goblins, and spirits haunt. Here the Deva referred to the celestial females as demons and goblins, and to the Nandavana garden as the grove of stupidity. Because he was still in the repulsive mood towards sensual pleasures as a consequence of his intense efforts of vipassana meditation. The commentary explanation of the Deva's query as to how to proceed along was that he was questioning the Buddha for guidance for vipassana, which provides access to aratta phala. So we will continue next time. We have to stop our discourse regarding Samudaya Sacca, the origin of suffering. By practicing vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by developing mega Sacca, the path leading to the cessation of suffering, by noting rising, falling, sitting, touching, seeing, hearing, etc., continuously and meticulously, may all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis eradicate the truth of the origin of suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. Sadhu. Sadhu. We have to practice sitting meditation for a few minutes.